morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mike May. I'm the National Executive Director and the National Charity Outreach Coordinator. And this is a local charity zone training for the Combined Federal Campaign. My company, MP May, runs CFC campaigns in 21 zones. That's about 42 states. And what we're doing today is talking to the local charities in the campaign in those zones about charity engagement through the Combined Federal Campaign. There are a lot of familiar folks that are joining us today who have done this training, been to these trainings. Becky Ellis out of Lincoln could do the training for me. Do you want to do it again, Becky? We've been at the Lincoln Federal Building, done these in person. We've done them remotely. This year, the primary change this year is for local charities, it's going to be a little different because for the last 5 years, if you were in the zones that I was in, you had the good fortune of using our system that was designed and implemented by Antonio Gonzalez, who is here helping support me on this training, and she'll be answering your questions in the chat. Antonia's event system won a National Innovation Award 5 years ago, and she knows more about CFC charity events, successful events, and getting those systems up and running. This year, OPM implemented a new system, and it's not as apparent why this was necessary to local charities, especially the ones in my zones, because they were using Antonia's wonderful event system and had no problems doing it. But there were four other zone managers across the country, and they were all using different systems to schedule events. And maybe your organization cross-zoned had to register for two different event systems. And so they implemented this year a new federal contract and removed it from the local zone manager services. And we're all using, all of us together. And I'm saying all of us together because we're getting to know it just as you get to know it. But fortunately, you have Antonia helping you navigate it, who is excellent at setting up these systems. And but we're all using this together, and this is how we're going to go through events this year using this new system. So Antonia's going to do this part of that training. But if you have any questions about CFC events, the CFC event system, Antonia is an excellent person to contact. And then also Kathy Gallahan, who couldn't join us today, is part of the National Charity Recruitment Outreach Coordinator team, and she'll be available to help walk you through. So one thing I'd like everybody to do, if you would, in the chat is put in where you're calling in from, what your CFC number is. Everybody should know that, and how many years you've been responsible for the Combined Federal Campaign, or at least familiar with it. You might be familiar with it from another, iteration of your professional life, but how long you've been responsible for or familiar with the CFC. I've been doing the CFC for 32 years. My first job out of college was Deputy Director of the Combined Federal Campaign in the San Francisco Bay Area, and have worked with charities, helped grow the largest charity association management firm, McGuire, for 25 years as their chief operating officer. And then now me and my company are doing charity campaign recruitment in the CFC and also running zones. So we have people from all over the country. I love how many people know their CFC code. If you don't know your CFC code, that's one of the first things that you want to think about today. And so when I'm doing this training, I'm going to jump between both the deck, because death by PowerPoint's a real thing, and I can't do a Zoom call without it. But I like to go and jump between this and go to the website and show you what live materials look like. So open up that part of the presentation. So I can jump between both. And everybody should, take a moment to jump to their local website and get familiar with it. GiveCFC is the national CFC website. And some of the most important tools for CFC charities are found on this website. For example, they have right down there at the bottom, are you a CFC charity? If you are, click on that button and it's going to walk you through, and I'm going to walk you through some of it, all the necessary information, how you post a video, how you post a story. And again, this is just me jumping between, we'll go in detail into these resources. But then if you want to see what your local website looks like, you go right here and put in your zip code. Antonia, what's your zip code?
76123.
And we're going to jump right to the North Texas CFC website. And, you know, learning about this, seeing where it is, I think is important. Learning what tools are available, what the campaign is promoting. There's a text to donate function for federal employees these days. You know, this is the leadership messages. It has Secretary of Defense video. It has the Director of OPM video here, and then talking a little bit more about the campaign. And I think just right here, just to know that the campaign is organized by causes, and we'll go into that a little bit as we get a little farther into the campaign materials. So I'm going to jump between those, go back and forth, and make sure that primarily I want to go through the marketing information. I'm sure many of you, the plan, you want to know this, the plan is to go through in about 45 minutes all the material we have. There's another national CFC meeting that I'm on, have to present on at the top of the hour. So we're going to get through this in about 45 minutes and make sure that your questions are answered in the chat. Any questions you have, you can put in the chat, but feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself, and make sure that you get the information that you need.
And yes, we will be providing you all with a copy of this training PowerPoint or PDF after the session today. So if you do have any additional questions and you wanted to dive in a little deeper, you will have access to this as well.
So, you know, the first thing we want to do is acknowledge that the Combined Federal Campaign is indebted to the charities that participate in the campaign. You know, I've said this before, and I mean it, and I don't mean to sound insensitive. Nobody ever died from CFC. It's the passion that and the programs that you bring to the Combined Federal Campaign that make it. You know, I was just on a call with the coordinators from around the country doing a marketing call, and I had Cindy Starnes from Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center in Oklahoma City, and she just talked passionately. She's been doing it for 45 years, and she says every time it comes around CFC, I get so excited about raising money, finding out about the new charities in the campaign, making sure that the Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center and its employees have the opportunity to give. We set goals. We strive to reach our goals because we know that every ask that we make, every time we invite our colleagues to join us in giving to the CFC, makes a difference to your programs, and we want to thank you for joining us in this effort. We're going to talk about today how the CFC works, a little bit about the theme and materials. We're going to go into CFC events, and then we're going to talk about marketing to the CFC community. So first of all, you have to apply to participate. Nobody can just give to the CFC and pick a charity from GuideStar. You know, it is 5,113 charities that applied, went through 6 months of rigorous review by federal employees, and had to get approved to engage the federal community. And the federal community makes its gift to you. And one of the things that we really emphasize is the idea that this combined collective effort, and instead of a single person going to your website and giving $25 or $35, a CFC gift or a designation report that shows $5,000, $6,000, $15,000 can make a real difference in your program and in your planning. And that collective effort, that kind of federal GoFundMe campaign, is one of the things that makes the campaign so strong. Down button, correct. So how to get the most out of your CFC participation? Participate in campaign events. is huge. Submitting photos, stories, submitting photos and stories, submitting a video, accepting volunteer hours, and promoting your CFC participation. This year, again, the theme is you can be the face of change. It's been a very successful theme, and also was a way that the campaign wanted to continue through its transition of a 5-year campaign plan to its next 5-year campaign plan. And it's also a way to save money. These materials worked well. They were successful. Instead of putting out a federal contract for a new campaign theme, it's the same campaign theme. The only thing that's been changed is on most of the material, all the materials, the CFC at 60, it is no longer part of the campaign material. So it is refreshed just a bit. Campaign materials, what we provide to the federal employees is a comprehensive kind of suite of materials to help them promote campaign participation. How do they do that? Well, they go to campaign materials here on the local website, North Texas, and the materials are listed here. It goes from not just posters and flyers on how to give, and the posters and flyers are comprehensive. You have civilian, you have DOD, every one of the DOD services are covered. These are all digital, they're all designed, and they can be or can be printed. We have donor cards, we have thank you cards, how to give. I'm going to open up some of these so you can see them. So using this material, federal employees know that you put in your local office zip code and put in your unit code when they go to create an account at the CFC giving site. And that's how the money gets to the charities and also reports back to the federal employees. But the amount of material, and it's not just, like I said, it's not just flyers, it's not just posters. There's a campaign toolkit that is available. I'd open this for the, jump back to the other screen. This is how federal employees plan their campaign. They have a campaign toolkit that talks about cause weeks, shows them what the cause weeks are. Right now, this week we're in housing and shelter. When you go to housing and shelter, there is an initial email that they get. There's social media content. There are digital splash screens that they post in their federal agencies to promote the campaign. So promoting the campaign is not just pushing out the CFC logo. It is a weekly campaign effort identifying causes in the campaign that federal employees can support through the 5,113 charities that are in the campaign. But it also keeps the campaign and the messaging and marketing fresh. And CFC events are generally determined around this cause week message, but it's definitely around causes. Antonia, you have some coordinators that don't follow the cause week calendar, but they want to have, let's say their zone manager is an animal welfare supporter, but they could do the animal welfare events and have that next week in their office. That's correct, right?
That is correct. And that's something that any federal agency, they can choose. This is the listing of the weeks that OPM has kind of put out for marketing purposes. But every agency knows that they can select whichever cause that they'd like to promote at whatever week. It does not have to follow this set schedule. But we do have a lot of charities who just say open to any charity that can attend, and they don't necessarily specify a specific cause.
So there is a lot of material, and we just went back to the website. So there's the national website where you can go, and we'll jump to that again, where the material that you need to participate and to get the most out of your campaign participation is at that Give CFC, and then Are You a CFC Charity? And here are your resources. So to participate in a virtual charity fair, virtual charity fair is the videos, it is federal employees going to look at photos and going to look at stories and going to the submission portal is right there. If you want to resubmit your video from last year, you have to resubmit it. You can't just not do something and expect them to know that you want to use it again. You have to resubmit it, but you don't have to change it. It does have to be 508 compliant. And that's where you get the information on encouraging volunteering, accepting CFC event, and connecting with your local campaign coordinator. Antonio's going to talk about that a little bit. We have seasonal graphics that are presented and provided to charities. So if you were going to be at an event, either virtual or in person, and you wanted to use CFC logos, events, all this information, including the Face of Change, is all available for you to download onto your materials that you use to promote participation in the campaign. It's an extensive, very well curated material set that federal employees and charities use during these 12 weeks. So the campaign opens September 1, but really doesn't get started till October 1. And one of the reasons we're having trainings right now is instead of in September, is because the new CFC event system was not up. We were just being trained on it last week. Antonia and Kathy were trained on it last Wednesday. So we're doing these right now. And then federal employees, because it's the federal fiscal year that ends on September 30th, if you contact the federal office and say, hey, we want to do a CFC training, they're like, you can do all the CFC trainings you want. We don't have time to send our personnel to a CFC training until after September 30th. I got a text from one of my coordinators, Lorna, up in Portland, and she said, okay, no more excuses for any of you coordinators. Federal fiscal year is over. Just started. It's time to start raising money for the CFC. So even though the site opens in September, no real fundraising begins until October. And then it runs all the way through until the 14th this year of January. Here's the Cause Week calendar. And you guys can absolutely go and download all those materials, take a look at them. They are available. That's an open public website. If you want to take a look at it and get ideas on how you might promote your campaign. I saw in the chat that folks were talking about their housing and shelter, and maybe you want to send out a, if I was a housing and shelter organization, it's Housing and Shelter Week. I would go download all my donor names from last year and the last 5 years and go and send them an email this week. Or if I was an animal charity and I knew the 31st or the week of October 31st was the Animal Welfare Week, I would write that email now and be ready to send it out heading into that week. So using this information and past information from your organization is critical to, I think, promoting the campaign and making sure those donors that gave to you last year consider giving to you again, and also promote your program to their colleagues. Because the number one reason why people don't give is because they aren't asked. My job is to make sure that the folks in the federal community are asked. The number one reason why federal employees do give is because they're asked by somebody they trust, one of their colleagues, to consider giving. And generally the colleagues will start that conversation with talking about their cause. And if their cause is your cause, because they gave to you in the past, make sure that they have the information, knowing that your organization is in the campaign. We know it's Housing and Shelter Week, and we want to support whatever the federal community is doing during that week. And while some organizations can have a Animal Welfare Week outside of the 31st, in general, most don't. In general, most of them follow the battle rhythm of what the CFC messaging is, because there's a lot of social media that goes out, based on the cause of the week. All the websites have their banners based on the cause of the week. So use that cause of the week as your kind of your starting point to how you can maybe promote your organization to prior year's donors. Because everybody, before I go over to CFC events and talk about the reason to participate in events and turn it over to Antonia, because I want Antonia to take her time getting through this, but also know that we're going to have to wrap it up in 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so. Does anybody not know how to get the information from prior year's campaigns from their account at cfccharities.opm.gov. There's a lot of first-time people. This may have been handed off to you, and you may not know it. One of the things that you want to do is go watch the this video down here on the learn about how the Charity Administration Center provides you with information on how best to, so everybody and then so it's the dashboard link that's right here under track your campaign progress. Click on this link right here.
Mike, we're seeing the PowerPoint,
Oh,
but
the
I
video is
did.
wonderful, and I know that because Antonia and her husband put it up.
I
They
did
developed it.
the link for that page in the chat for everybody as well.
Thank you. So when we do application review and promotion during December, I go over this in detail and how to find this information, how to access it. And this is the video that we produced that goes over all the benefits. So again, you go to the Charity Toolkit, Charity Toolkits at GiveCFC. And then down here, click on this short video about the CFC dashboard, and it'll go through your results and where the donor names, the people that released their donor name. And then also there's two links you can download. You can not only download where your organization released or which donors released their name, but also every donation that you received from the federal community is posted there. So if you attend an event and you want to look back and see whether your event at the Nuclear Regulatory Agency in Arlington and Antonia's zone, if they had an event in person or virtual, you can go back and see if anybody from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission gave to you last year or gave to you that week. And you can know whether your participation in that event was a success. So make sure you watch that video and you'll learn all those things that I was talking about downloading your donor names and then using that with the Cause Week information is probably the best way to promote yourself outside of what Antonio is going to talk about with CFC events. So participating in CFC events, I talked about it a little bit. They're both virtual and in person. Most of them are going to be virtual this year. That's just the fact. Federal offices are opening up and having more people come in and not work telework, but that doesn't mean they're going to open their doors to folks to come in and have a charity fair. I was talking about the Mike Monroney Center. They are having a charity fair, but it's all outdoors. It's food trucks. It's that kind of thing with charities. So the events that you're going to have are probably going to be outdoors. Outdoor events are always weather dependent, and so virtual events is going to be the number one place you're going to be invited to. General tips: be memorable, be engaging, tell your story. In a virtual event, you're generally going to have 2 to 5 minutes to tell folks how your organization makes a difference. There's 3 things that you want to do. You want to talk about, what the need is, what CFC dollars do to support your program historically, and final thing is to thank them for considering your organization, but thank them for giving through the CFC. Promoting the campaign overall is a primary responsibility of any charity that's in the campaign. It's not your opportunity to solely promote your organization. Yes, you get that opportunity, but just thanking people to consider giving through the combined federal campaign is part of those 3 things are what you're required to talk about. This was probably necessary 3 years ago. I don't think it's necessary anymore, but it's part of the slide to remind folks to become tech savvy, practice good etiquette. We all know to stay muted and raise your hand if you want to speak, all those things, which we had no idea what we were doing in 2020. We know now. And then I'm going to turn it over. So Antonia, you just going to tell me to go next slide? Does that work for you?
Will do. Thank you, Mike. So first of all, I want to make sure that everybody has had the opportunity to actually register to participate in the CFC events program. If you have not done that and you would like to participate in events this year, please do so today. I just put the link in the chat for you all, and that's the link to the registration form. This is that first slide there is just a kind of a copy of what that looks like. Please just kind of go through this, submit this. There were a couple of issues. I believe that it was making you default to the California or the Carolinas zone, even if you didn't participate in that zone. I have worked with the help desk on that, and they've gotten that updated. So you should be able to go in and select any zone that you are able to participate in events for, because if you do select additional zones that you are not wanting to participate in events for, you will still be receiving those invitations. Again, on the other side, if you are not signed up for the zone that you are available, you will not receive those invitations. So that is the key to you receiving invitations. So do that today if you'd like to participate. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Mike.
There's a question that says, does one have to register for the person or for the organization? In other words, if the person gets an invitation, can someone else from the organization respond and attend?
You definitely can. Who you want to register, when you register, you want to put in there whoever is going to be receiving those invitation emails. Once you actually get an invitation, an invite for a specific event, when you RSVP for that event, you can enter in whoever will be participating and attending that particular event. Okay.
And next slide.
So like with everything with the government, there are guidelines that you have to follow. So take a look at this. This is all of the guidelines. Of course, anytime you are attending an in-person event, you have to have proper identification to enter a federal building. If you RSVP, please show up. There were quite a few events last year that we did have no-shows. And so if a federal agency is expecting you to attend, that definitely does look bad on your organization. After we will be tracking this. This is again a different system than the one that we had in place. So this will be tracked internally, and we may review this at the end of this year to identify what that will look like next year. But your organization will be flagged if you do no show to more than 2 events. And so potentially you may not have the opportunity to be invited to additional events if you have multiple no shows. And then of course, always number one with CFC, you make sure that you, whenever you're attending an event, whether it's in person or virtual, that you're promoting overall giving. That is always a big factor, whether they choose to give to your organization or any of the thousands of charities who participate in the CFC, just promoting overall giving. No photography unless authorized. A lot of times the agencies, they're going to be taking pictures, and they will ask if it's okay to post your information. But likewise for yourself as well, if you take any photography, then please get authorization to post those on your social media. Attending events only by invitation. Those invitations do need to come from the outreach coordinator, which would be ourselves. So if you are contacted directly by a federal agency, please ask them to contact their OC, and you can also contact us letting us know, hey, I was invited to this particular event. Everything does have to be tracked through this system. So again, if you are contacted directly, please direct them to contact their local zone manager, and you may contact us as well to make sure we close that loop. And then again, time allotted on virtual events, they generally have a very small window of time. Sometimes you'll get 10 to 15 minutes and you're like, how do I fill this time? Other times you may only have 3 to 5 minutes. So just be respectful of that time that they're allotting you, as well as if it's an in-person event, the space that they may allow for you, if it's a table with charity fair, etc. And then following the instructions provided by the organizer. When you receive that initial invitation, you will have the basic details for the event. Once you're confirmed, there will be additional specific details. So just kind of make sure that you have reviewed everything to ensure you have everything that you need to attend that particular event. And then no sale of promotional items or collecting any names at any event. Charitable or federal agencies, federal employees, they have to check a box if they would like their information to be released to a charity. So just no collecting any information at those events, and then you all know, be professional at all times. Is there anything that I need to address in here, Mike?
No, that put in yours and Kathy's emails. There's a question about searching for local charities that I got direct, Jim. Yeah, the local list in Milwaukee might be a small list. CFC's addressing some of the shrinkage in the number of charities. There used to be 20,000 charities in the campaign. There's 5,000 now. The reason that they started charging fees was because 40% of those 20,000 charities received $0. That meant thousands and thousands of hours of federal employee time reviewing applications was wasted. That meant thousands and thousands of dollars of printed material was wasted. When they put in the fee structure, they thought that the fee level would not dissuade as many local charities as it did. They were wrong. They've learned that lesson, and I expect there to be some changes, hope to be some changes. I have a proposal to them on how to do the changes into them. It will take a regulatory change. So we expect to see more charities in the campaign in the coming years. But because of those fees, yes, you do only see some organizations or a few organizations in some local areas. What does the invitation look like? I think we're going to get to that, what the invitation might look like. So next slide for you, Antonia.
And I do want to address the question in the chat. How can you request to attend a specific event? You cannot. One of the requirements that we have is that it is fair and equitable for every charitable organization participating. So whenever charitable organizations are invited, it is a fully automated randomizer that will send out invitations. So it always has to be that is one of the main factors that OPM has been trying to get to for several years. So with a lot of the manual systems that we had, that has still been a struggle. This year it is a fully automated randomization, and so again, you can't request specific events, and there's not a specific list of events that are actually open for you to choose from. You will receive invitations. You will RSVP for any of those events that you receive invitations that you are available for. I just wanted to show this to you. This is on each individual local website. This is the form that the federal agencies, the campaign coordinators who are hosting the events, this is a form that they will fill out, and they will provide us with all of the specifics of what their event details are, and then we send the invitations out to you based on what they enter and submit to us. So again, as I said, it is a completely random selection process. These events will be open to all charities. There will be national, international, and local charities who are able to attend these events. There are specific causes that the requester can ask for, and those are going to be based on the taxonomy codes. Those taxonomy codes are what you dictated as your codes, your causes that your organization, where you fit into when you submitted your applications. So I believe everybody had the option to select up to 3 taxonomy codes when you submitted your application. So there are multiple causes that potentially you would fit into across the campaign.
Everybody, when they should take a moment to go to givecfc.org and look at their description on the website, click donate, find a charity. and take a look at the organization, see what was put in there, make sure you have your and as large as it can fit your logo, whether you accept volunteers, what your station is, and what is being referred to here as the category of service. And so that category of service is going to drive the selection process by both the campaign, by the coordinator. And folks, I don't like the categories. It wasn't designed by any marketing person with a rational understanding of why people give to nonprofits. It was designed by the IRS. Why is there 26? Because there's 26 letters in the alphabet, and they decided to run out of putting together NTE codes. But because it was designed by the IRS, that's what the Office of Personnel Management uses. So we can have a side discussion on how these could be changed, but until the IRS changes it, OPM is not going to change it. So these are what they are. It's kind of what we're stuck with. That's how they arrived at it, and it's filled out. Whatever you put on the NTE codes when you applied for your 501c3 is not what you have to put when you go into the CFC. Look at your list, decide what best represents you, and then also know once you pick that, that's what the campaign is going to use, and also use here, and then also use in this event system.
Correct. AFR, that's the oh, sorry, Mike, you just clicked off there. That's the, it stands for annual fundraising ratio, or is that the administrative fundraising rate?
Administrative fundraising rate. It's your, using your Form 990 that you submitted, you completed the numbers. It's page 12, total revenue divided by this, no, page 12, total revenue divided by the sum of column C and D on the next page, which is your fundraising and administrative allocation totals. And then this is what's printed in the brochure, this amount right here.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so next step, this is a copy of what your invitation will look like. Again, this is all through a new system. It's automated, so all of your email invitations with event details are all going to look exactly the same. Very important that you keep these emails if you plan to attend, because you will utilize this email for several purposes. Your request ID number, if you see there at the top in the subject line where it says 1003, every single event is going to have a ID number associated with it. And so if you needed to, contact the help desk or on a specific request, you can always just reference that ID number. If you contact your local zone manager on a specific request, reference that ID number. That is always going to tie you to that particular event. So again, as I said, there will be a lot of specific details regarding the event, so that way you can determine whether that is an event that you are available to attend. You'll have the date, time, whether it's an in-person event or virtual. Please do pay attention to that, because we did have quite a few charitable organizations who would RSVP to an event last year, thinking it was virtual, and then finding out later it's in person, and they're like, oh, well, I'm not in that state, I can't attend that event, and canceling at the last minute. So pay attention to that information, whether it's a virtual event or if it is an in-person, because there are going to be in-person events. Majority will be virtual, but there will be. Timing. One thing that I want to make sure everybody pays attention to, because of the fact that so many of us are kind of across the country, is the time zone. It will state in there which time zone that particular event is in. So if you are in Eastern time zone or Pacific, make sure that you are aware of what that time is, because I had charities who would show up an hour early or show up an hour late to a particular event. So again, details on there. Then I'll go ahead and go to the next slide, Mike, so we can see how to respond.
Okay.
So then within that event, there was a little link that just says RSVP. and there's information, instructions on clicking that RSVP link. So once you click on the RSVP link, this little form is going to pull up for you. This form, it's going to be new SVP, RSVP, or change RSVP. Why there's even an option to change RSVP, I have no clue. Just ignore that. It's always going to be new RSVP if you're responding, and you'll hit submit. If you click change RSVP, the only thing it's going to do is direct you to respond via the original invite, which is why I'm telling you always keep that original invite. You can always respond to that, or if you're confirmed for the event, you can respond to the confirmation email that you receive as well. So anything that you're going to need to do as far as changing an RSVP, if you already have done so, and you find out, oh, I cannot attend now, or the person, I was scheduled to attend this particular event. I can't now. However, my colleague is going to attend on my behalf, so I need to change who the representative is going to be. Anything like that, whether you're canceling or changing, you will respond back to that original invitation you received or to the confirmation email, not going here on this form and selecting change RSVP. Just act like that doesn't even exist. Thank you. Okay, go ahead and go on to the next one.
Tell us how you really feel, Antonio.
I didn't design this system, so I can break it apart. The next step is your confirmation email. So you've got a couple of different emails that you may possibly receive on this. You could receive a confirmation email so when I say it's a completely random submission of event invitation that's going out, once you actually sign up, say that there's 5 charities that are requested for that event. We're not just going to send it out to 5 charities because it very likely will not be filled, and we'll be sending it out over and over. So we'll likely send it out to 10 charities, and it's again based on a randomizer. And then once those charities respond, it is a first come, first serve on the response to those charities that were randomly selected. So if you are one of the first 5 in the example to respond, then you will receive a confirmation email. Your spot is held. You are confirmed to attend this particular event. If the event is full, you will receive a event full email response. There is also a wait list. So the event full, you will only receive that if the event is full. We have no longer needed, but there's also a wait list option. And so you could be added to our wait list, and that, again, if there's a last minute cancellation, you will be the first to be chosen to fill that additional spot. So again, keep that confirmation email, keep your invitation email. You want to make sure that you have both of those for your records. Then the next thing you will receive is a confirmation reminder email that you are confirmed to attend this particular event. You will get that 3 days prior to the event, and again, all of your event details will be in that reminder email. Go ahead and go on to the next one, Mike. Again, going back to your cancellations, your changes to your RSVP, you will always respond either to that original invitation email or to the confirmation email. You will not do, and one thing that they want to make sure that you do not do is change your subject line. The subject line, always leave that alone. You will just respond to the email. We received a notification that you responded. If you have any questions on a particular email, respond back to that invitation. I've had charities who've already emailed me back saying, oh, I thought that this was an in-person event. Sorry, I can't participate. Or is this event really a 2-hour event or a 6-hour event? So you can always respond within that chain from that initial email invitation, and we'll receive those notifications. So it's really actually, when I first had the training, I was not happy with the system. However, now that I've actually gotten in there, worked it, It's actually pretty, it's a pretty good system. I am actually really happy with it. We're working some kinks out in there. I'm noticing a few things. If you see anything that is not working properly for you as you're getting in there and replying to events, RSVPing, just let us know. You can contact myself, you can contact your local zone manager, and they'll make sure that I am aware, and we'll make sure that we are working with those developers to get anything fixed that needs to be fixed.
And Tony, I put in the chat, and because I know that some emails have come out from CCS folks, the CFC support at charity.org. Is that the email for them to send if you have questions? I mean, it's one
That
thing to go to our team, but our team is just going to send an email to CFC charity, CFC support at charity.org. So I think if you find something that doesn't work, do that. There's another question that came in about, and I think, was it Heather? Oh, so Heather, there are some questions about your profile on the CFC site. And I told everybody that the listing process is closed for this year. But then Heather put in there, I'm still hoping to get my logo in. She's working on the help desk now. So that's separate help desk. That's the help desk at cfccharities.opm.gov. I don't want to get those two confused. Although you're probably already confused, I'll say it again. If we're talking about the listing on the CFC site, your individual listing, that would be you go to your cfccharities.opm.gov account, click the help desk there. If there's anything going on with this
events.
events system that you think isn't working. I got one yesterday where the organization didn't, I guess their browser was out of date or something, and they couldn't see and couldn't click in all the areas that they wanted to click in. They were then sent to CFC support at charity.org. And so those are the two distinctions. I didn't put the CFC charities.opm.gov help desk. That's something you find after you get into your account. They have the help desk right up there, but I don't want to confuse that listing with what we're talking about today. I'm very, very happy that Antonia likes the system. It is the stamp of approval that this system needs. So it looks like it's off to a better start, but it only got off to a good start because Antonia has been working with them for 3 months to get it right. So, but as any system, we work very well with the other outreach coordinator, Tribal Tech. They're extremely competent CFC professionals, so it looks like they're getting it right.
They are.
Can you tell us who our local CFC leader is? I will put in
Yeah.
Did you put in?
I have it.
I have it.
You have it?
All right, I'll put it in. You can go to the next slide and I'll put it in. We're at about 9:48. Antonia, I will stay on this as long as we need to. But if you want to jump off and go to the CFC Foundation call, you can do that too after you get off with this. Okay. I don't know if Jen's going to make the CFC Foundation call if she's on her FEB calls.
Okay. So, and then one other thing that I want to make sure that we mention before we continue on here, once you receive the confirmation email that you're confirmed to attend a specific event, any additional details for that event, whether you need to get a PowerPoint over to the person hosting, or you need to get instructions on how to get on to certain military base, all of those additional details will be between you and the host of that particular event. So you will be connected with that person. You'll have their contact information. They're going to receive a list of all the confirmed charities, who the representatives are that are attending, along with their contact information. So from then on, they will contact you with additional details. If for some reason you need additional beyond what they've sent to you, or they haven't responded to you to let you know anything additional, then you can feel free to reach out to them directly. That will be all the the confirmed attendees and that host connecting after that event. Okay. And so Mike, go back to that other slide. I don't know if yeah, again, if you do click on that change RSVP button that I told you to forget about and act like it doesn't exist, you are going to get this little red box telling you to go and look at the confirmation email or your original email. So go ahead, you can continue on.
So that is the comprehensive review of the new CFC event system that everybody, should register for. So the question was, are you only supposed to register for events in your zone, even if you are available for virtual events outside of your zone? Antonia?
No, you can, because it is open across the board, because we have virtual events, you can participate in events for neighboring zones. I have charities who are in Oklahoma that participate in events here in North Texas, as well as even, if they want to go to Texas Gulf Coast, then they could do so. So you can register to participate in events outside of your particular zone.
So if so, should we have clicked other registrations on that initial list of zones? Yeah, if you have other regions that are adjacent to you that you want to show support for, you have programs that fit, is the Pensacola, Florida Humane Society going to present to the Seattle, GSA office? There's a program service question that I'm not asking, but the CFC could ask when it comes to randomization. But obviously regional services, I think where you provide service is a good way to talk about where you should register. If you've already completed the registration, Lindsay, reach out to the folks at CFC support and see if you can update it.
Yep. Any questions that you have as far as your registration, please reach out to CFC support at charities.org and they will be able to get those questions answered for you or update any information.
So there will be national newsletters sent out from the National Marketing OC talking to charities, all approved charities about, they sent out 2 national marketing emails, one on August 8th, one on September 15th. The National Marketing OC is in charge of communicating general ideas and availability of systems and benefits for CFC charities. So keep an eye out for that. If you didn't get the one newsletter, let me know. I'll forward to you. You want to make sure that your email on your cfccharities.opm.gov accounts are up to date. If you are in Heartland and you send an update for your email to Katie, Katie has no ability to update your email in the National CFC Charity System. So while she might update it on her local contact list, you need to go into the cfccharities.opm.gov, that account, take off the folks that aren't responsible for it for this year, put on new people. Always have more than one is our recommendation for any of these, because folks can miss an email. It's time sensitive. So we talked a little bit about promoting your CFC involvement. Anybody not know their CFC code, you can go to the Giving site and look it up. It's very important that when you're at events, where you're putting together materials, that you have your CFC code included. It is, the easiest way for a federal employee to find you is to not search because of spell check errors or whatever, is just to put in that CFC code and put find, and you'll come up and they can add you to their cart and incorporate you can be the face of change. Target earned and paid media during the CFC season is also a good idea. This is going back to what I talked about, inviting donors to give, reminding federal retirees that they can give via annuity. The federal retirees is one of the largest growing parts of the combined federal campaign. The messaging from OPM and for the Defense Finance Accounting System to federal retirees is getting better and better. They didn't do it very well for the first 2 or 3 years. Are doing it much better at a much more natural rhythm that retirees and OPM service retirees. So that's military retirees and OPM retirees are very capable. Educating about payroll deduction and annuity. Sure, you can do that. I mean, I do that. That's one of the benefits of the combined federal campaign. And encouraging current supporters to spread the word. We talked about that a little bit. If you want to, when you download your donors from last year, reminding them to give to you this year. Also encourage them to consider spreading the word. There are sometimes opportunities for them to talk about what their cause is with their colleagues. And if their cause is your organization, while they generally aren't encouraged to say individual names, they can promote it within the organization, depending on what the availability is. So remember to remind them to give to you and to spread the word about what your program is. Promoting volunteer opportunities. Has everybody explored? Is everybody familiar with the volunteer process and making sure that your hand is raised in the campaign? What that looks like is, back to this one. So this is, it's what it looks like when an organization, but in the, this hand raised right here, this little icon, I don't know how big it's going to let me, is lets federal employees know here and on the printed brochure, the PDF brochure, really, that organization accepts volunteer opportunities. The volunteer opportunity system raised over 80,000 volunteer hours last year. They've updated the volunteer system to track hours and to help you track hours a little bit and your connection with federal employees. Because in the past, what happened was if somebody volunteered time, but they didn't release their name to you, how were you going to contact them and make sure that you had a program that they wanted to support and they had the time that fit into your volunteer schedule? That's been adjusted somewhat in the volunteer systems that you'll find in your reports through cfccharities.opm.gov. And there's some administrative improvements that track and try to keep federal employees in. And the CFC charities they donate time to connected throughout the year, so those opportunities can be realized. Because as we all know, that can get kind of messy if there's not some administrative support connecting those volunteers to the charities they want to support. We talked that this is tracking your progress in that video. It's exactly where you want to get started in tracking your progress, and donors have given to you the last few years. Go to that portal, log in, and find your information. It's organized by year, and distributions are there, costs are there, donors are there. Your application process from last 5 years is there. So it's very valuable. One of the things I like best about it is that it allows you, when you hand off this responsibility to another person on your team, really you just give them creds to this account, and it has all the information they need to successfully continue the work you've invested into your CFC partnership. So knowing what's there, organizing your CFC marketing around it, and then making sure that the person that's going to take the responsibility from you, you hand it off to them, they appreciate all the information that's at the CFC account. So connect with us through social media. That's a great idea. So you go to the North Texas website, click on the Facebook page and connect there. Promote your CFC number there. You share your photos, use messages of gratitude in your promotional activities, and engage with the national CFC and local CFC through engaging with us, and connect with us through social media. Are there any questions? Antonia, any questions?
Questions on where do they see the CFC virtual charity fair? Those are located on your local zone websites, and there's a virtual charity fair option. There's videos and stories. Let me see if I can put a link in here for my local zone. So there's a link for Southeast Tri-State where you can go to see virtual videos. Again, as Mike said, you can go to the Give CFC, search for your local zone, and view virtual charity fair videos.
So any other questions before we wrap it up today? Again, I want to start or end where we started. Was there another question, Antonia?
I believe that that's it. I think I asked or answered most of
Thank
the
you.
questions.
Well, I want to end where we started, which was thanking all the charities that participate in the CFC for your partnership. Taking the time to understand the systems, understand the resources that federal employees get to promote the contributing through the CFC, understanding the new event system is going to make the campaign much more successful this year. This transition to this new system needs the charity support. So thank you for that. And thank you for your continued partnership in the CFC. CFC exists because of the charities that participate in it every year. And we look forward to working with you. Contact your local zone manager. I put that list of our 21 zones and the zone managers. Contact them if you have any questions about local events, opportunities, if you want to connect with your, to understand what's going on the ground. The best thing to do is contact your local zone manager. They'll have an idea of events, number of events, opportunities. You go through the system, connect with us on the system, and then you'll be ready to go. So with that, thank you all very much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day. And again, we look forward to you guys having a great, successful 2022 CFC. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.